What's up, ladies and gentlemen? How are you all tonight? And welcome to another episode of Phenomenal Views. I'm your host, Nick Smith, of course, and as you know, I have been reviewing the Jaws movies. Well, I have my review of Jaws 1 and Jaws 2 on my page. Just like I promised, this is my review of Jaws 3. And as it says at the bottom of the DVD, a deadly new attraction. Now, Jaws 3 isn't the best out of these movies. The first one is the best. Nothing will ever top the first Jaws movie. In my opinion, no shark movie will ever top Jaws. However, this one is not my favorite, but it is the most interesting to me. And here's why. For any of those who personally know me or who know anything about me, I love stuff like aquariums. I just went to SeaWorld a month ago, or 2 months ago. No, it was a month ago. I went to SeaWorld, and I love aquariums. I love the ocean life. I love stuff like that. Stuff like that interests me. So, and also the reason why this one's the most interesting to me is because this was the last Jaws movie I had ever seen. Because, for some reason, they had all the Jaws movies except 3. So, I watched Jaws 1, 2, and Jaws the Revenge. The third one I could never find. And so, I eventually found it. And because it was the one I was anticipating to watch the most, but it also piqued my interest a little bit more than the first one. But, I'm going to explain why. For any of those who know, one of my favorite authors is Steve Alten, who you might know as the author of the Meg series, like Primal Waters, Hell's Aquarium, or The Trench, things like that. About like how he finds the prehistoric shark known as the Megalodon, and he brings it to an aquarium, and there's a humongous mass murder. There is a humongous massacre due to these sharks because they're so aggressive. And a lot of people have a fear of drowning. This movie also has the most scary premises. I mean, it's a shark enough, but it has a scary premises due to the fact that, one, this one takes place at SeaWorld, but it's a different type of SeaWorld because there's an underwater park. There's an underwater walkthrough. Like, if anyone's been to an aquarium, you know, like when you walk through the shark thing, like you can see it, they have an entire park under the water, and it's a very scary thing. But anyways, let's get into the film. This one has the worst effects I have ever seen. And it's because it's known as Jaws 3, or otherwise known as Jaws 3D. Also, something very familiar, Friday the 13th Part 3, or Friday the 13th 3D. So yes, this is part of that bad 3D craze, that bad 3D thing. But instead of the whole entire this effect where you actually have to put on glasses, it's like Spy Kids 3 without the 3D glasses. Except that it's in 2D, but it has the whole entire throwing the words out at you thing. An hour and a half of this. Annoying yet? But yes. So, Jaws 3 starts out with the same way that the other two films do, with the POV of the shark going around, and it kills a giant fish, giving us this scary thing that's going to happen. We are then introduced to Mike Brody and his girlfriend, Catherine, who they both work at SeaWorld. And see, now with me, after watching this again, this kind of looks like a water version of Jurassic Park. You know, out of all the other Jaws films, because this one takes place at SeaWorld, it's in a park, it kind of hits the Jurassic Park vibe with me. And it might just be because Jurassic World's coming out. To each his own. But we are introduced to the theme of SeaWorld and how everyone's getting ready for another day at work. something goes wrong with the gates. Now, the difference is between this SeaWorld and a bunch of others. This SeaWorld is actually built in the ocean, whereas SeaWorld in Florida is in Florida. It's a facility in Florida. This one is built. Actually, the facility is built in the ocean, and it's a very remarkable idea. So when they're closing these gates, a great white shark swims through and busts them. It bangs them up. So this guy who is good with who welded the fence himself has to go down and fix it. And they create the whole entire suspense of him being in the water, but he decides to go at dusk, so that's his own fault. And so, unfortunately, he does get killed, and we get some more awful, awful effects. But we are in this film, we do have Sean Brody, who, from you all remember, in Jaws 2, had a very tragic accident, or he had a very tragic experience in Jaws 2, and they actually bring that into this movie. Having him being afraid to get in the water, him even going to school in Colorado, because there's a scene when Mike and his girlfriend are talking about Sean, and they're like, why doesn't he visit more? And Mike tells her, he's like, well, remember that shark attack I told you about? Well, that's why he goes to school in Colorado. He's still afraid to get in the water. And so it was just good that they kept that plot and they brought it over and they didn't just get rid of it. So that was very good. Now, I'm not going to lie, I like a lot of the actors in this movie. The actors have good chemistry with each other. For example, Mike Brody and his girlfriend, Catherine, the actors play really well off of each other. They have a very good relationship. Sean and the girl who played Marty's mother in Back to the Future are actually pretty good characters themselves. And then we have Manimal and his British friend. They're both British, but the guy who plays in this movie played in the TV show called Manimal. I know that because of Cinema Snob, but he's like a very famous ocean photographer, I think, and he's also hunted a lot of other animals as well. So, but those are all the characters, and we also have this this guy named Calvin Bouchard or Bouchard. He owns the SeaWorld, and it kind of makes me think of a black John Hammond almost. Because when bad things happen, he's not like, oh crap, all my money, this park, everything that I've built, this stupid shark has ruined it, I'm gonna go bankrupt. No, he cares about the people. He wants them to get out okay. He's not, I mean, he's a money-grubbing person, but he's not as bad. They balanced him out well, like how they did with John Hammond in the Jurassic Park movie. Instead of him being like the mayor from the first two Jaws films. So, but anyways, we are brought to the situation that something at SeaWorld is a little bit off. Some of the animals are afraid to do some of the things that they're usually afraid to do. So, like, these two dolphins, don't want to go play for some reason. Like, it's their playtime, but they're too afraid to go. So there's something that they also notice is odd. And also the fact that the guy who went to fix the problem with the fence, he hasn't come back either. So his wife, who works at the bar where the characters meet and hang out at, she's like, hey, have you seen my husband? I hope he's not cheating on me again. Can you please find him? Let me know if you do find him. And then the next day, she says he never came back, so she thinks he cheated on her again. And he's like, no, I figured he would have went home hungover, or he was at home hungover. So they decide, okay, something's definitely off, we need to go check it out. So they go in this little submarine, and we are introduced, ladies and gentlemen, to the worst green screen effect I have ever seen. Why are the effects so bad? I mean, I understand that they're trying to make it 3D, and it was cheap. But, I mean, come on, guys. You can do so much better than that. The effects in this movie are awful. They're really bad. Really, really bad. But so they're going around searching for this guy who they pretty much assume is dead. And when they get out of their little submarine, they get attacked by a shark. Now, you can obviously tell that the shark is a puppet. However, they do some more underwater scenes, and they do actually make the... In this movie, the shark looks real the most of the time. Most of the time. It does more than the first two does. But so Mike and Catherine are being chased by the shark, and the dolphins come in to save them. Now, I don't have a problem with that, but the fact of the matter is that they recycled the footage of Mike grabbing onto the dolphin and the dolphin swimming away 3 times. 3 times they recycled this same scene. And they're trying to make like a high-speed chase, but they just recycle the same scene of him grabbing onto the dolphin and the dolphin swimming. Him grabbing onto the dolphin and the dolphin swimming. So when they're being chased, for some reason, Catherine thinks it's a good idea to let go of the dolphin and come up above the water and look and see where Mike is. Hey, look, he's on a dolphin. Get back on your dolphin and get to safety, you moron. I mean, I understand he's your boyfriend and you love him, but don't let go of the dolphin who's trying to save you, woman. So, when they are attacked, they make it out safely. They tell the manager, and Manimal is basically like, we might be able to make some more people come to SeaWorld. If we can catch footage of us killing it, we could really make some money here. Catherine decides it's a good idea to have a great white shark in captivity, which I would love to see. I have never seen a great white shark in captivity, and I'm hoping to see one in captivity someday. I would really love to, because I love sharks. So she talks them all into catching the shark, tranquilizing it, so they can take care of it. And of course, Mike is gonna object. Mike's like, "Look, no. Sharks are dangerous. Me, my dad, my brother. No, I'm not going through that again." But Catherine talks him into it, and they eventually do go with it, and they do knock out the shark. So they take him to a pool, and they're trying to get him to respond well to the waters. So after that, she says it's the only great white in captivity. Let's keep it that way. There's a problem with that statement. I think it is actually required by law, or just by facts alone, that a great white shark cannot stay in captivity for very long. As a matter of fact, I think the longest estimated time that they can keep a great white shark in captivity is 5 months. I'm pretty sure it's 5 months from information that I have read. That they keep them, that they don't keep all of the same animals in captivity. They let them go, they track them, but they release them back into the wild eventually. But no, they don't keep that one same animal in captivity. They eventually let them go. And great whites are also, they need a lot of space. They need much more space than in a aquarium. So that's why they're not in captivity for very long. And they don't actually have, I don't think they have any adults in captivity because they're too big. But anyway, that's another story for another time. So, the man, Bouchard is like, where's the great white shark? It's in a different pool. Okay, we'll put him in pump number 4, and I want everyone to know about it. But this guy's like, I thought Catherine told me not to move him in for a couple days. But he's like, look, I want to be able to see the shark at 3 o'clock. I write the checks, I make the decisions, move the fish. So, when Mike and Catherine are having a conversation, because Mike is going to have to go to Venezuela due to a college thing, I guess. And so they've been talking about it the whole time. Well, Brody gets called to do something, and they announce on the microphone that there is a great white shark in captivity, and it's saying, come by its seat at 3 o'clock. Well, Catherine comes over, and Catherine's like, what is he doing here? Well, Kevin ordered him to be moved. And she's like, why didn't he just ask me? Why did he do it on his own? Because he doesn't know how to do it right, and they had to take special care of him. Well, when she gets there, the shark dies. And, you know, after all this, we get some viewing of the people going into the underwater thing, the underwater caverns that they have made. And so when they're walking in there and they're all taking pictures, a dead body rises up and everyone's screaming and freaking out. And some moron decides it's a good idea to shove the girl face first up to the glass right next to the dead body's face. Like she's face to face with the dead body. So they discover that it's the guy that they've been looking for, and they discovered that the bite radius is a yard across. And they discovered that, and they pinpoint that the shark is 35 feet in length. So they say, the reason that they say this, they're like, look, our shark still had all its teeth. That means it's still a baby. And she says that the shark couldn't have killed Oberman, and its mother did. And so they determined that the shark was caught in the park. So the shark and its mother have been in the park the whole time. And since the baby died, now Mommy's pissed. So Mommy goes on a rampage, and this is the most scariest part of the film. Now, this movie didn't do to me what Jurassic Park did. Now, Jaws, the first movie, did make me scared. However, this one scared me a little bit more because due to the fact that the shark rams the tube that they're in, and it starts to flood the water, or it starts to flood the cavern. And a lot of people are trapped in this room, and the water does start to gradually rise. However, they close the security doors to make the water to keep from rising. But just that fear, why this one is so interesting to me is because it plays on the fact that it could happen that you could be stuck underwater and you don't know what happens. You could drown, you could freeze to death because ocean water is cold. And I thought that was a very interesting premises. So the two British guys decide that they're going to get the shark back into the pump where it was found. While they're distracting the shark, Mike and Catherine will weld up the tube, and the people that are captured down there, they can go home. So while this is happening, the manimal leads the shark back into the thing. But how he gets caught and how he gets killed, he's pulling on a rope to get himself back. The rope snaps, and Jaws gets him in her mouth. And so after this, the mother breaks out. And so it finds Brody and Catherine, but they just barely escape. However, when they do, Jaws comes and tries to get them in the control room that's underwater. And a person gets killed, unfortunately. Not that many people get eaten, but it's just a scary premises. And so, in the beginning of the film, they were talking about blowing the shark up with grenades. Well, the guy was going to blow the shark up with grenades, but he got stuck in Jaws' mouth. So he's still in her mouth with the grenade. So Mike decides to get this pole, and he bends it, and he pulls the pin, and Jaws closes the mouth, and the shark explodes, and the effects are still horrible, but the shark is dead. So the movie ends with them getting to safety, and the dolphins do their flip thing that they weren't doing at the other end of the movie. So this was not a bad sequel. This is not a good sequel, but it's very interesting. If you like sharks, and if you like the whole scary underwater premises, if you like Jurassic Park, I don't know, maybe it's just because Jurassic World is coming out, but seriously, give this one a watch. It's not a good movie, but it has an interesting idea. And if you like ideas, then give this movie a watch. Well, guys, put in the comments below, what did you think about Jaws 3? Did you think it was decent, retarded? Did the 3D annoy you? What did you think about the premises? What did you think about the idea? I really want to know. I thought it was interesting. I really want to know what you guys think. Guys, have a good night. Don't go to SeaWorld. I'm just kidding. Go to SeaWorld. It's fun. You'll have a good time. They have killer whales. Have a good night, guys.